told that success is about having all the right answers, and I'm here to tell you that it's actually about asking the right questions. And that one shift can change everything. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you a little example. So years ago, I walked into a meeting with a Fortune 500 company and I was ready. I was ready to just wow them with our product and our services. I had the perfect pitch. I had the perfect slides. I had the perfect everything. I'm talking perfect, except I hadn't bothered to truly understand their needs. And I spent 20 minutes talking about us, and they spent the next five showing me the door. I'm telling you, this was a brutal lesson. And to be honest, how often do you walk into a conversation, a meeting, a sales call, a squabble with your mate? Your agenda was already set. How often are you thinking about what you're going to say instead of truly listening to the person in front of you?
So, we're all born with the default setting of me, me, me. Okay. So it's not your fault. It's how the human brain works. We filter the world through our own lens. What's in it for me? How does this affect me? Do I look good in this lighting, this angle, right? So it's all about me. Here's the thing: in business, in sales, in life, being stuck in your own head is like trying to drive with the rear view mirror duct taped over the windshield. You might miss what's going on in front of you, right in front of you. Worse, you just miss them completely. The people that you're trying to connect, that you're trying to influence, that you're trying to serve. So why bother getting better at asking questions? Well, because when you do it right, when you're genuinely genuinely curious, not just waiting for your turn to talk next, you become magnetic. And suddenly you're not just selling, you're building trust. You're not just pitching, you're connecting. You're not just negotiating, you're co-creating outcomes that work for everyone. I've been in this game for over 40 years, coaching, teaching, fine tuning the art of asking better questions. I call it the question concept. And I've seen it rescue sinking deals, repair strained partnerships, and turn casual conversations into lifelong collaborations. You got some audio there, Russ.
That was really,
Because when someone feels seen, really seen, they lean in, they open up. And that's when the real magic happens. So today we're pulling back the curtain and giving you all the goods. Okay. You'll learn how to flip the spotlight off yourself and light up the room with your curiosity.
I mean, Gary's right. They do need to feel seen. They need it. And it sounds so simple, and yet it's incredibly difficult for so many of us. The shift from self-centered to other-centered is the most powerful talent that you can master. And I'm talking about every single aspect of your life. And it all starts with asking the right questions. Most people only reveal the tip of the iceberg. They tell you what they think and what they need to say, but the real needs, the underlying motivations, the hidden frustrations, those are buried deep beneath the surface. Questioning is the sonar that helps you find them. Because in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, innovation is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity for survival and for growth. A key driver for innovation is the ability to ask insightful questions and truly listen to the responses. moving beyond that surface level inquiries and engaging in deep and thoughtful questioning can unlock hidden opportunities, challenge assumptions, and reveal those unmet needs.
So let's be real here, though, okay? And be honest with yourself, because when you do, you'll realize that most of us aren't really listening. Right? We're just waiting for our turn to get in there and talk, right? Rehearsing our next brilliant point in our head while nodding, right? Like a bobblehead on the dashboard, right? Waiting to get that opportunity to jump in and give your perspective. But here's where the magic lives. It's called active listening, not the pretend kind, the kind where you're actually dialed in, where you're laser focused on the
Sorry
other
about it,
person.
guys. I don't know what's wrong with my system.
And you're laser focused on what the other person is saying, not just the words, but the feelings, the pauses, the subtext. That's where the gold is. And when you combine that kind of listening with asking the right questions, game over, right? So instead of game on, that's when the doors to insight, to innovation, and the influence swings wide open. You'll start hearing what your customers aren't saying out loud. You'll start spotting the unspoken tension in your team, or if you're coaching, consulting someone. Heck, you might even finally understand what your partner means when they say, it's not about the dishes, it's about respect, right? So, this combination of strategic questioning and the real deal listening doesn't just improve your conversations, it transforms your culture. It sparks curiosity. It invites collaboration. It says, "Hey, your voice matters." And when people feel heard, they show up with their best ideas, their creativity, and they fully buy in to whatever it is that you're presenting. And businesses get this, right? The ones that do, they stop reacting and start anticipating. They don't just follow trends, they actually shape them. They don't just grow, they evolve. So if you want to innovate consistently, build loyal relationships, and create real momentum, go ahead and ditch the script. Get curious, get quiet, and start listening like your success depends on it, because it kind of does.
So, all right. So let's start with some examples here. You might ask, are you happy with your current blank? Or ask, what are the unintended consequences of your current situation? Or what keeps you up at night when you think about blank? Because each of these presses for details. That's what questioning is all about. Why do you need details? Because you're curious. And if you're not curious, well, that's another problem. Okay, because here's a real common one. Instead of saying we need to cut costs, okay, which is incredibly vague, and we've all been there. I need ideas to cut costs. Like, what does that mean? Okay. Instead, ask something like this. What are we unintentionally incentivizing with our current spending? Or what assumptions are we making about our customers' needs? Now you've narrowed the scope of the question. You've given the other person a specific framework to work with to answer to. And then once you get that worked out, then you ask the same question about maybe another specific. So let me break this down in a real easy formula. Now, this might sting a bit. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I'm going to repeat that. People don't care how much you know until they know how much that you care. Because questioning is the ultimate empathy engine. It shows that you're genuinely interested in their perspective and you're curious about their views and ideas.
Yeah, and we get it, right? We get it. You've got things to say, right? You've got the pitch, you've got the offer, you've got the solution, the plan, maybe even a killer poem about your product. All right. If you do, go ahead and send that and drop it in the comments for us. Well, like we love a good rhyme every now and then, right? But here's the deal. Before you drop the mic, ask things like, "What's the story that got you to this point?" Or "What are you most proud of in your journey?" And then shut up. Just shut up. Right? Seriously, let them talk and receive and listen, be open, receive. People love to share their story. It builds trust, it breaks the ice, and you learn a ton without lifting more than a curious eyebrow. Like,
That's the Spock look.
yeah,
The
right? Or the Dwayne, the Rock,
Rock.
right? Yeah. Right. So let's take it to the boardroom, right? You in the boardroom, you're in a meeting. Someone throws out an idea that sounds questionable, right? Instead of jumping in with your, well, that's not going to work energy, just try, hey, what problem are you aiming to solve with this idea? Right? That one question can turn critique into collaboration. It shifts the vibe from combat to co-create. And you never know, right? You might just uncover an insight neither of you saw coming. I've watched teams pivot, save projects, create breakthrough solutions just because someone dared to ask instead of assume. Here's the truth bomb we live by: assumptions are the silent assassins of innovation. Okay? They're like they're like blinders. We don't even know that they're there, but they limit everything: our perspective, our creativity, our connection. So, what do? We ask bold, thoughtful, sometimes awkward questions that shake the tree, right? Stuff like, what are the non-negotiables for you? Or why do those matter so much? And boom, before you know it, we're not button heads anymore. We're building bridges. We're understanding someone's why. Understanding their why gives you the wiggle room to find out a how that works for both of you. And at the end of the day, questioning is it's just a strategy for some people. But for others, when they realize that it's if they take it out of the strategy and they realize it's not just a strategy, they realize that it's actually a love language. It says, I see you, I care. Let's figure this out together. So whether you're growing a business or saving a relationship or just trying to avoid another awkward dinner with your in-laws, right? Curiosity is your superpower.
Because instead of blindly following tradition, ask, why do we always do it this way? Is there a better way? It can lead to more efficient and fulfilling routines. Now, mind you, all of this is done in a calm, mild mannered way. No snarky preferences, that's stupid, or I can't believe you don't like that, etc. So here's four key takeaways for you. Write these down because they're going to be really important. Number one is the unearthing root causes. Because we want you to go deep, deep, deep to solve a problem. Then you want to use the five whys techniques, which is an incredibly powerful formula that's all about relentless curiosity. It's about refusing to accept surface level explanations. It's it's a whole different mindset. So we're
It's
going to
like
give you an
stepping
example.
back to when you were two.
Exactly. Exactly. So Gary and I are going to kind of do a back and forth, and that's exactly what it's going to remind you of. Okay, so we're going to break down why the sky is blue. Okay, so we just went with as broad a term as we possibly could. So why is the sky blue? So I'm going to ask Gary. Gary, why is the sky blue?
Well, because Ross, the atmosphere scatters sunlight.
Oh, okay. So, well, why does the atmosphere scatter sunlight?
Because the air molecules in the atmosphere are smaller than the wavelengths of the visible light.
Oh, okay. So then why does the size difference between air molecules and light wavelengths matter?
Well, because when light waves interact with the particles of a smaller size, they are scattered in different directions. It's called the Rayleigh scattering.
Okay, so then why is blue light scattered more than other colors?
Because blue and violet light have shorter wavelengths, and Rayleigh scattering is more effective when there's shorter wavelengths.
Okay, so why do we see the sky as blue then and not violet if violet light is also scattered effectively?
Because the sun emits less violet light than blue light, and our eyes are also more sensitive to the blue spectrum. And also, the upper atmosphere absorbs some of that violet light.
All right, so now you guys see that this method drills down and down and down, and it's wiping away those superficial answers that frustrate all of us. And it literally forces the true essence of the answer to come to the surface. So in that what 90-second, 2-minute conversation, I got a whole science project. I'm just like, oh, okay. I went from blatantly a vague blue sky to molecules, wavelengths, and what happens. So imagine, just for a second, imagine doing this in developing your life's purpose or your company's mission statement or why your fiance loves you so much.
So, and here I'm going to give you also an additional bonus, like super accelerated hack for this. So instead of the why, what you can do is tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So not it's an assumed question, right? So just tell me a little bit more about that. And just say, oh, so tell me a little bit more about that. Well, tell me a little bit more about the wavelengths. Tell me a little bit more about the and that will unfold. It's a different way of asking the why question. Because some people will get triggered by the why, but that's it's but doing that consecutively.
They'll have the flashback to a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Or if they're a parent going through that, they're like, what?
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about the follow through, right? Because asking a good question is like teeing up a great shot, but follow, that's the swing that sends it flying, right? So, key number two is the art of the follow up. You never ask someone a question and they give you a surface level answer that sounds like it was copy pasted from LinkedIn bio, right? They've just memorized that and they just kind of and then you stop there, right? That's just the outer layer of the onion. We want you to peel it, but peel it gently, right? So ask, tell me more about that, or what makes you say that? It's like saying, hey, I'm not just nodding politely, I'm actually interested.
Yeah.
And when people feel that, they open up, they go deeper. Suddenly you're not just talking, you're connecting. Okay, so number two is the art of the follow-up. So when you ask those things, it's tell me a little bit more about that, or what makes you say that, things of that nature. And then number three is going beyond hearing the words. Okay, active listening isn't about waiting for your turn to talk. It's about reading between the lines and the eyebrows. Because sometimes what people don't say speaks louder than what they do. So tune in, watch their body language, Feel the tone. Notice that any hesitations, any fidgeting. Notice the pauses and ask yourself, what's not being said here? And your gut already knows. And trust me, it's usually right. Unless you just had tacos and and your stomach's doing the cha-cha, right? Then, maybe double check, right? But seriously, there's a whole symphony playing beneath every conversation if you're quiet enough to hear it. Energy doesn't lie. Postures speak volumes. And even the small shifts in someone's voice can reveal a hidden gold mine of insight. Now, honestly, we could do a whole masterclass on just this. And I remember back to my first neurolinguistic programming training. There was so much time and energy put on this aspect of communication. And I think a lot of the trainings now kind of jump past that because it seems boring, but it's such an important component. All right. And if doing a masterclass on that or live stream on that sounds fun to you guys, just drop please yes, or more about the symphony of communication or something. We'll figure out a name for it. Just drop it in the comments. Let us know. We'll make it happen. All right. Because in this world of instant replies and half-hearted hellos, the ability to really listen is a rare kind of skill, rare kind of magic. And those who master it, they don't just hear answers, they find truth. They build trust and they spark transformation.
Yeah. So, and then now the fourth key is the uncomfortable truth. All right. Now, pay attention really careful. Silence is the most uncomfortable of moments, but it's also incredibly powerful. After you ask a question, resist the urge to fill that void. Let them think, let them process. You'll be amazed at what they reveal. This is a really huge negotiation that you put something out there and then you wait for the other side to respond. And the kind of the rule of thought is that the first person who speaks into that void has lost the negotiation. And it's quite true because if you can master this, you'll see people, just as Gary was saying about body language, just see them start to fidget because they have to fill the void. And then you'll be amazed at what they reveal. And we've learned that questioning is not just about asking questions. It's about adopting that other centered mindset. It's about putting yourself in the other person's shoes and truly, truly understanding their world, their perspective. I mean, I used to be a terrible listener. I was so focused on my own agenda and that I can't, the countless opportunities to connect with people, to truly connect with people, to understand their needs, to build meaningful relationships. And it wasn't until I embraced the power of questioning that I truly started to see the world differently. So, for the next 7 days, we challenge you to dedicate 15 minutes each day to practicing your questioning skills. Just 15 minutes. Choose one person. It could be a colleague, it could be a client, a family member, and commit to asking them at least 3 open-ended questions and actively listening to their responses. And then track your results. What did you learn? How did it change the conversation? How did it impact your relationship with them? And I guarantee that you'll be surprised.
All right, so let's picture this for a second. Imagine living in a world where people actually listened to each other. How would this world be different now? Really listened. Not the kind of listening where someone's waiting for their turn to talk or mentally rewriting their grocery list while you're bearing your soul. I'm talking about curious listening, empathetic listening, the kind of listening that makes you feel seen, not just heard. What would shift? We think a lot, right? There'd be less conflict, more collaboration, less judging, more understanding, less of you versus me, or and more of the we got this. See, we're eh, asking good questions isn't just a social skill, it's a form of respect. It's saying, hey, I care enough to try and understand where you're coming from. And that right there, that right there is how bridges get built between people, between teams, ideas, nations.
Mhm.
Look, I'm not just spouting feel good fluff here. This is tactical. This is transformational, and it works. Works in boardrooms, living rooms, awkward family dinners, world leader meetings. We need more of that, right? Like Socrates said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing, right? So enter with humility instead of always needing to be the one with the answers. Try being one with the better questions. There's a challenge. You'll be amazed at how fast the walls fall down and the doors swing open. At the end of the day, the power of questioning isn't just about better communication, it's about better connection. It's about creating a world where being human actually feels human again. So, yeah, ask the
Yeah.
questions, stay curious, lead with your heart, and watch how everything starts to change.
Yeah. So that's so awesome. All right. So, and with that, we'd like to thank you all for attending and for those watching the replay of this training. And as you can see, we're tightening things up with our live streams. We're keeping them a little shorter and denser with plug and play usable content. So we'd love to hear your feedback about the format, whether if you're live now or if you're on the replay, please drop some things in the comment, whether it's be good, bad, indifferent, and always remembering longer shows just means that I get to ramble on and on and on. So careful what you comment. So if you're seeing us for the first time, thank you. It brings us great pleasure always sharing life-changing content with you and the hundreds of thousands of other followers, as well as our other two private groups, which the links are going to be in the comments. And oh, and I almost forgot, please like and subscribe. Whatever platform you're on, somewhere there, like, subscribe, so that we can stay connected with you. And if you already have, then please share this with friends and coworkers and anyone that you think would benefit from our work, because you sharing also helps the algorithm's distribution for us as well.
And before we wrap up today, I'd like to let you, before we let you dive back into the chaos and beauty of your life, we want to leave you with a little something we say every week, and that is that we dare you to be exceptional. Not average, not meh, not I'll try again Monday. We mean today. Okay? Be exceptional today, tomorrow, and every day after that. To be exceptional is way easier than you think. All you have to do is implement what you learn and learn from what you implement. And that's the loop of greatness right there. It's that simple. Implement what you learn and learn from what you implement. Thanks for spending time with us. Whether you're watching live or catching the replay, again, remember to subscribe, hit the like, comment, and we'll see you in the next Infinite Mastery Wisdom experience. Thanks for being here. Be well, everyone.
You.